What's up YouTube, it's TF Collector, and today I'll be reviewing the Transformers Age of the Primes Voyager class, the 13 Alpha TRION. And before we take a look at the figure itself, let's first take a look at the packaging that he does come in. On the front, a nice picture of Alpha TRION in both robot and alt mode, transforms in 22 steps. Age of the Primes, Alpha TRION, Hasbro on this side. Over here we have some Primes till all are one. Age of the Primes Voyager class. On this other side, a picture of Alpha TRION, Age of the Primes, Alpha TRION. On the back of the packaging, Alpha TRION. Here are all the product shots so you can see what all is going on. Authentic Hasbro. On the bottom, a barcode. On the top, Alpha TRION and Takara Tomy. And one last thing before we dive into the figure, he does of course include his instruction manual, Alpha TRION. There's a picture of him, Age of the Primes 8 and up, Takara, Hasbro, yay for instruction. And now moving to the figure itself, here is Alpha TRION. And he is a Cybertronian flying aircraft thing. I don't know, jet? I don't know what you would call this. It's Cybertronian. It doesn't matter. It's cool looking. But coming in close on the details so you can see everything. You can see nice silver here at the front. Some purple, beautiful purple used throughout with some red, blue. Nice little translucent red window, I suppose, going on there as the glare hits it perfectly. Isn't that just wonderful? Moving down, you can see just some nice details, some little fins sticking out the sides here. You can kind of see the top of his head there. But overall, I think it looks pretty cool. There's the top and there is the bottom. Overall, I think this is a pretty cool looking original Cybertronian flying thing alt mode. And as far as Alpha TRION's accessories go, he comes with a few and they are all pretty nice. The first of which you get is a removable Autobot insignia, so you can see there's that, all beautiful, red, silver. Isn't it just wonderful? He also comes with this quill, so he can write things, and his main relic that he does come with is the Covenant of Primus. Here it is. It's a beautiful book, and you can open it, and it has pages. You can read your Covenant of Primus. Isn't it just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful pages of Covenant Primus that you can read. Now, all of this can store here in the alt mode. The Autobot insignia tabs into what will become his chest, and I'm just going to leave that on there as we transform him and whatnot, because I do think it looks much better with that there. The Covenant of Primus, you can see there's a little tab right there and a little notch right there. You do have to do this a certain way so that this tab goes up in this notch here, but you can just tab that right in, and that stores very nicely. And then you have this little tab right here, and you have a little slot there on your quill, and you can line that up. If we can get it lined up, it's very small. Tab that right in, and overall, some absolutely awesome storage here on Alpha TRION. Can't even see the accessories. I love it. And now for alt mode comparisons. I do not own any other Alpha TRIONs in the collection right now. This is my first Alpha TRION. My second will be the TF11 when it comes out next year. But with that being said, there's really only one comparison to do, and I need to change the camera angle to do it. So let's do that. And that comparison, of course, is with all the other primes we have thus far. So here he is with Star Optimus, Alchemist, Solus, Prima, and Megatronus, and I will say the primes are looking pretty freaking cool so far. But that is about all I have to say for the alt mode of Alpha TRION, so we are going to go ahead and transform him. So the first thing we're going to want to do is spin under to the underside here, and we're going to make sure we take all these accessories off. So just pop off his pin, pop off his book, and now we can really get started. So the first thing I like to do is come here and just untab these wings from the sides. You can see that tab there just goes into that slot, and that little notch there just goes right up in there. And basically just fold these pieces in like that. Do the same thing on the other side, and then they will tab together like so. So that's how you want that looking. The next thing we're going to want to do is come here to the arms, untab them from the side, just tab in right there, and bring them out. Untab this side like so. Now what we can do is come up here and free up these sections from the side. Just kind of pull them out a little, and that will allow you to untab this entire top section and just get it slightly up and out of the way, and that will then allow you to rotate this whole section up at this little hinge built in right here like so. Now what we can do is come here to these pieces and they will push into the leg, so just push that side in, Push that side in, and we can split the legs down the middle and rotate them so they are facing forwards. Then what we can do is come here to the feet, push them up on each side, push this one up as well, and then come under here and grab a hold of the heel spurs and just bring them out. They will kind of thoop into place. Do that on both sides, of course, and there you have his legs all done. So then what we're going to want to do is come back here, and you want to untab this piece. You're kind of going to have to wiggle around it to get enough clearance to do this, but you want to rotate 180 at the waist, like so. And now what we can do is we can finish off his arms. So the first thing is I'm going to raise the camera slightly. And now what we can do is come here and just rotate these, bring them down. Same thing over here, bring it down, then come under here and grab a hold of the fist and basically pop that out. Same thing on the other side, grab a hold of the fist, pop it out like so, and then you can take these shoulder pads and just angle them however you want. Me personally, kind of give it that look. I think that looks pretty cool. But then what we can do here is come to the back, and once again I'm going to rise up a little bit here. And the first thing we're going to want to do is untab this piece, bring it back, and then with this whole section, the first thing you want to do is rotate these upwards 180 degrees, and then we need to take this whole section and it will come back like so, and it will tab in under here. You can see there are two little notches for these two little tabs. It will just tab in right there. Now, you gotta play with this a little bit. You want this to be untabbed and kind of facing up like this is how they have it, in the instructions. But you basically want to bring this piece down like so, and then bring this piece back up where it was. And this section is going to come in and just stoop into place, come in on this side, stoop into place, and that's how you kind of want that looking. This kind of all stays together relatively well. But the last thing to do is just flip his head up, and there you go. There is Alpha Trion in robot mode. And as he did in alt mode, Alpha Trion also looks very awesome here in robot mode. But coming close on some details, you can see the head sculpt is absolutely beautiful. Some nice purple horns with some blue eyes and silver on the face. Looks awesome. Some nice silver and purple used down through here. You have that Autobot logo there that is removable, but me personally, I'm just going to leave it there. A little dot of blue, but coming down the legs, some more molded details, a little bit of spikage going on over here. Down the arm, you can see a little bit more of the silver. Now, these pieces do come separate. You have to plug those in right there, but as you can see, pretty well detailed. Now, backpack-wise, it isn't too bad. I mean, he does have a little bit of a backpack going on there, but overall, everything compresses pretty well, and I do think he has turned out absolutely awesome. Now for Alpha Trion's articulation, the head can swivel a full 360. I do not think it's on a ball joint though, because I cannot see one, but he can look down and up also all the way due to transformation, but no wiggle waggle because it is not a ball joint. The arms can do a full 360. They can move in and out, and the shoulder, of course, can also move there. Little shoulder pad. You do have bicep rotation. You have over 90 degrees of bend at the elbow. No wrist rotation, unfortunately, but what you do get is the ability to open and close his hands, which is pretty cool. You do get a waist rotation, but as you can see, this piece kind of moves with it. So if you want a really good waist rotation, you're going to have to move this piece and this piece too really up and out of your way. And still, you're not going to get a whole lot, but you're going to get a little bit there. We'll talk more about this piece in a minute, but we will get to that momentarily. The legs themselves can kick forward that far back. They're going to hit that piece, but once again, we will talk about that here in a second. Outward motion, you can do a full split. You do get thigh rotation. You do get slightly over 90 at the knee, and you do get an ankle pivot. Very nice, and due to transformation, you can tilt his feet down if you feel that is necessary. So overall, some good transformation, but this piece here does kind of get in the way. And of course, we can bring in Alpha Trion's accessories, and they can store here in the robot mode as well. The Covenant of Primus can just plug in right there, and as it did in alt mode, the pin thing can plug in right here. If I can hold it still, there we go. You can have that going on, and there's your storage. But of course, you can have him wielding these accessories. I would say weapons, but they're not really weapons. They're more accessories. Now, for the pin, I have found it easier if you go ahead and open his hand and just push it in there on the thick part of the handle. So kind of just push it in. You can see it's kind of even moving his wrist in on me. Stay out. Push that in. Come on now. Push. There we go. And you can see he can kind of just hold the pin there. And then we can open the Covenant of Primus if we really want. And he can hold this also in his other hand. So we can plug that in over here. Maybe if it wants to work with me. There we go. And now Alpha Trion can totally write down some Cybertron history. But another accessory option for Alpha Trion that we don't have in alt mode is we can spin around here to the back, raise this piece up, and take this entire section off. It's just plugged in there. You can take that whole section off, and now we can transform this. So you can come here and just untab these sections and swing them out on that double hinge. Come here, flip this post around 180, and then bring these pieces around the other way and tab them back in together. And now this can tab into the side of his arm here if you wish. Tab that right in, and now you can see there is also this little tab here on the wrist that will go into that slot there that will hold it in even tighter, so you can kind of get even better of a grip on it there. But now Alpha Trion can have a shield. And now for some quick robot mode comparisons. First, here is Age of the Primes Alpha Trion with 86 Commander Optimus Prime. So you can see how he looks with Commander Prime. And apologies for the bad lighting, but here he is with the other primes that we have thus far. And once again, I think this Age of the Primes 13 Primes lineup is turning out to be the best version of all 13 Primes we have ever gotten. And of course, last but not least, here is a comparison between Alpha Trion and a CG image of what they based him off of. And I think this guy is looking really cool. A great rendition of Alpha Trion. So this has been my review for the Transformers Age of the Primes Voyager class, the 13 Alpha Trion. And overall, this is another great entry into this Age of the Primes line. I am super happy with the way this figure turned out. My first Alpha Trion in the collection, and he will certainly be a hard one to beat. The robot mode is awesome, very G1 looking, and also with the design changes they made, I think make him look even cooler. The alt mode, while it is just a Cybertronian jet that's basically a flying saucer looking thing, I think it's pretty cool and comes together pretty clean and looks nice. The transformation itself is very straightforward, not super hard to follow, but does result in a great robot mode, if I can speak, and a fun time. And the accessories, I think it's pretty cool. You get the Covenant of Primus, a little pin. I don't know if any Transformer other than this guy has ever come with a pin. And then, of course, you can transform that one piece to become his shield. But me, personally, I'm going to be having him writing in the book like a little nerd, which I just love. I think it's great that he has a different personality than the rest of the Primes. But overall, this is a great figure. I would certainly recommend. Now, they are jacking up the Voyager price to $43 here in the US, which is insane, stupid, but I guess we have to accept it, and that's what we're going to be paying now for Voyagers. So as a figure, I would certainly recommend this guy. It's hard to recommend any figure as of right now for $43 as a Voyager class, but I guess we're going to have to all get used to that because that is where the future is going. But I do certainly recommend this figure. If I had to rate him on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give him a very solid 9 out of 10. A couple complaints that I have, he is a little hollow here in the robot mode right there where the wrist folds in for alt mode, and just some other little minor things. I think the neck is a little weird where it's on that hinge. Kind of makes it a little weird to handle. And as you can see, you can't actually get his pin over top of the book really due to the transformation, but I guess that's just a minor complaint. But overall, a fun figure that I certainly recommend. So that is my review for Alpha Trion. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will be back soon with more reviews. Don't forget, never sacrifice the things you love for the approval of others. I'll see you all soon, and until then, roll out. Peace!